name's Jennifer. My topic is about DACA and the effects that it has on students. And my proposition is that failure to address DACA population will have harmful consequences to the U.S. And if you don't know what DACA is, it's basically a program that when Obama was president, he made for undocumented students to have the ability to go to school, to have work permits, and also to vote. And Trump has tweeted multiple times to the Dreamers, and he has told them that he has sympathy for them and that not to worry, but literally he's ending DACA, which they should have a reason to worry. And when I was doing research on this topic, I was watching a lot of TED Talks about Dreamers and their responses to Trump ending this program, and all of them were saying that they were happy when Obama was president because they had an opportunity to go to school and they had the right to work and stuff. And now that they are done with school, they have a degree, but they can't even legally get a job in the field that they were in. And so my first topic is that the end of DACA creates chaos for the Dreamers, and not only for the Dreamers, but also their families. It is leaving an estimated 8,000 people out of work because that's how many people were in the DACA program. And they no longer had work permits, the right to vote, and then, once they're, okay, so also ending DACA means that children that were brought here under the age of 16 have yet to have any criminal records, are only trying to work and receive higher educations, also have their rights being taken away and risk being sent back to a home that they don't know at all. And the loss of DACA creates instability for the Dreamers and their families. Most of them are head of households and are the income that their family has, and that they literally leave their family with no jobs. And also my second claim is that allowing Dreamers to stay would produce positive outcome for the U.S. Allowing Dreamers to stay would mean we would have 800,000 more people contributing to our taxes, and they help most of us, and they help lower our taxes. And then Dreamers are now buying homes, making jobs for many, and then opening businesses instead of what people think they are, taking jobs from us. They're actually making more jobs for us. And thousands of Dreamers will be forced to quit their jobs, which would send their families to outburst and disrupt businesses and create shockwaves through many different states. The Dreamers present zero threat to the economy. Dreamers with jobs are required to pay tax revenues. And if DACA were to get removed, an approximate $8 billion in GDP, which is gross domestic product, would be lost annually. And then it would create less money for the U.S. that could go to schools, communities, etc. We would have more licensed drivers and insured drivers on the road. And also, since the start of DACA, we have had more people purchase cars, which means more income to each state. And then also, Dreamers will contribute $460 billion in the GDP over the next decade. So lastly, my main topics were that the end of DACA creates chaos for the Dreamers, allowing Dreamers to stay would produce positive outcomes for the U.S., and then Dreamers present zero threat to the economy.
Okay, the presentation, the proposition is clearly identified at the beginning of the speech. The contents are not previewed at the beginning of the speech, so I don't know exactly what the supporting points are going to be as you develop the argument. In the course of the presentation, you do signpost a couple of supporting points. Ending DACA is going to create chaos, and that allowing them to stay is going to produce a benefit. So I got those points. It would have been nice if there'd been a preview, but I could pick those out while you were talking about it. I heard the claim that there was zero threat to the economy from the Dreamers, but I thought that was just another part of your second point. I didn't realize that it was a third point on its own. So the structuring needs to be a little bit clearer in your argument as well. There's an inconsistency. This is one of those things where you have to be careful about practicing and writing your notes correctly, because at one point it sounded like you're going to put 8,000 people out of work, and another point it's 800,000. I think the 800,000 is the number that actually applies here, but when it's inconsistent with the first number that you present, that's a little bit confusing. You want to make sure that that's going on. I am 95% sure, maybe 99% sure, as sure as I am about Gary Oldman winning, that voting is not included in the DACA process. So I would double check that to be sure. And you should be able to give us a source citation. I mean, it's Obama's executive order, so let's look at that executive order. If it's included there, you should be able to say subsection 3, paragraph 4 says that these folks that now have a right to stay, or they can ask for permission to stay, also have a right to vote while they're staying. If it says that, that's fine. Then you can put that in your argument. I just think that you've included something that is not part of the process, and so you want to be very careful about those sorts of things. Your argument is primarily economic in the long run, that you're saying that there is an economic benefit from allowing the Dreamers to stay, that there's a large number of them that are here, that they are making a contribution to the economy, and that there will be future contributions to the economy that would be beneficial in the long run. I think those arguments need to be developed along that line so that your argument is clearer. You kind of got it broken up between the 2 points that you have, and then, like I said, that third point sounds like it's another in the line of the argument, but it's not as clear as it needs to be. The supporting evidence. You said that they generate $8 billion in GDP. There's no source on that. You said there's $460 billion coming over the next 10 years. I didn't hear any source on that. There's a lot of information here that suggests that problems exist, but you're not giving me a source citation on any of that information, and that's problematic. I think there's a lot of claims that have been made without much proof on those particular points. And as a consequence, for instance, the original DACA wasn't a long-term solution at all. I had this as a debate in the last semester, the spring semester. Last semester, this is spring, in the fall semester, because that came up as, that was one of the things they were talking about. And the original executive order was only designed to work for a short period of time. So the idea that it fixed everything, I think, is a little bit problematic. And that's kind of why we're in this muck now, is that everything's a little bit unclear as to what the rules and procedures are, and it would be helpful if you could point out that there's a lack of clarity, that DACA begins the process of creating clarity, and that's why we need to, in the long run, have something like that. Okay. Good enough. Thank you.